Good day, paranormal community, and thank you for partaking in the 353rd episode of the Odyssey Files. I'm your host for all 353 because this show can't exist without me, your host, Michael O'Neill. With me is my wonderful co host, Mr. Anthony Hernandez.
Hello.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
everybody.
How you doing?
I am doing better than average. So good.
Decent. Decent is the
Decent.
word
Yeah.
we use. You're doing decent. So we're going to jump right into this because there's not much chit chatting we really need to do, and there's a lot to go over here, um, more so than I would have expected. Going to have to throw out some disclaimers to keep the hate mail down to a minimum. Uh, but we wanted to talk about the Conjuring House and things that are going on there right now and things that have or have not gone on in the past. And so last week, Anthony and I brought up Jason Hawes's campaign to buy the Conjuring House. He's doing a GoFundMe, which I don't know really how well that's doing. It didn't look like it was doing all that well, but like a lot of, I saw a video that he did just the other day, um, with all kind of the updates of what is going on with it, and he said like even GoFundMe itself is like reaching out and being like, how could we help? Um, and he says he's like in meetings and getting messages and emails and stuff sent to him from all over the place. People who want to help him achieve the goal, obviously, of purchasing the Conjuring House and keeping it uh, as it is for the people, for the public. And Anthony and I, for two, uh, wholeheartedly support that. At least I do. I don't want to speak for you.
Oh, I do. I much rather have it with someone who actually cares about it than is just interested in how much money they can charge.
Exactly. Um, so the update on that, and there's two of them. So Jason Hawes is not, as far as I've seen, and I will tell you why I say this. Jason Hawes is not the only paranormal quote unquote celebrity interested in purchasing the Conjuring House. I saw a photo posted by Nick Groff of him and his wife outside the Conjuring House, like it was them in the front yard or whatever, and the caption was, "See, I told you guys we were going house hunting." So that to me is like a pretty good indicator that he's one of the people interested in purchasing the Conjuring House. Although I'm pretty sure that the first thing that would happen should he get it is some sort of documentary would be made, like if, featuring him uh, about the hauntings and stuff like that. Uh, I'm sure at some point in time he would open it up to the public. For what amount of money, I have no idea. I would still like to see it in the hands of Jason Hawes. Sorry to say, I got nothing. I got nothing against Nick Groff, but I would still rather see it in the hands of Jason and Satori and Cody and all of them. Jason did a video um, that I looked at 2 days ago, something like that, um, where he was talking about somebody had come in and bought the mortgage to the place. Not like a not like a person, but like a company or an entity or something like that. Um, so they don't own the house, but they own the mortgage. And so to do anything, they would still have to go through the foreclosure process, blah, blah, blah. So he actually was saying how this is even better for them because now it's even more open to people coming in and buying it. Um, and he was all excited, happy, like he was geared up and rearing to go. So um, again, just like last week, all the more power to you, and I hope you succeed in doing so and getting it. But you, Mister Anthony, you 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 had to go and pick your I was gonna say you had to go and pick your nose. Yeah, you had to go and stick your nose into the history of a place, and now we have no choice but to throw out what you had found. So, for anybody who doesn't like what we are about to say, it's all Anthony's fault, and you can let him know. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's just the truth, and it's not it just different. I was gonna say it's not terrible.
no, it's not terrible. And does it? The history that we are about to unveil. Uh, and it's wrong of me to phrase it like that because it's like this was hidden. Like it's not hidden. Like if Anthony can find it, anybody can find it. Not to say that your talents aren't amazing, but I mean, if you can find it in the public space, all you really have to do is look. And so all of this stuff that's being said now is just people who didn't put in the as much effort as you did to look.
Yeah.
And uh and I get it. We live in an age where people just want to be told what to think and what to believe and what the facts are, and then they're like, that works good for me, and then on with life they go. um Not a lot of people give much thought to whether what they're being told is false or not, or
Like,
skewed, or misidentified, or misunderstood. Not many people give thing to that. Me, I just don't care. I mean, don't get me wrong. I care about the history of a location, but as somebody who has never been there and is probably never going to go anytime soon, unless for some reason some producer is like, "Hey, we really like your trailer and your team and your look and the way you do things, and we would like to have you be part of this thing, and it's going to involve the Conjuring house." Like until like that happens, I honestly don't care what the history is because it doesn't affect me. But I'm glad that I know now, because if anybody were to bring it up in a topic of conversation, like the Leduc Mansion that we did a couple weeks ago, like that
yep.
history, I would like to know. Um, and I'm honestly uh, ashamed at the fact that I didn't know half the stuff that had to do with that house. So
I
that's
mean,
for me. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it just takes some research into that stuff. So I mean, time and the time is the killer thing. So
It is, but I mean, you would think that the museum that has videos and tour guides and stuff, and I've held the family Bible in my hands, that's not even open to the public. You would think that that would be part of something that they would teach, and it isn't.
well, yeah,
And
I totally expected them to go into more details about certain things than, and when you told me they didn't, I was like, wow, okay.
yeah, exactly. And so, and honestly, the Conjuring house seems to be almost the exact same way. Like there's so much history left out, and there's a lot of history added in. And I and I say added in because it isn't true, or it's misconstrued, or
I think I think the biggest problem with that is that a lot of people think the movies are factual historical things and they're entertainment. And they're I mean they're good, don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's not. This is the history of the place. This is the entertainment scary story for the place.
and that is the thing that is so bad when it comes to movies and TV, because TV, in order to make a location seem far more interesting or quote unquote evil than it is, will make stuff up.
Oh yeah.
I I have seen it multiple locations that I have been to where the history or the claims or whatever have no basis in reality whatsoever. And then Hollywood takes it to a whole new level. Like they it's not even claims, it's like experiences and exaggerations, and they add on like entire endings and stuff to make it Hollywood uh Hollywood, I don't want to say Hollywood accessible, but I mean, you know what I'm talking about, to make it
Oh yeah.
up to par for a Hollywood movie. And people, again, just to prove my earlier point, will watch The Conjuring and be like, "Oh, that poor family! I can't believe that they even survived that." But well, half of it's faked. Half of it's not even real. And uh, I think that's the difference between based on a true story and inspired by a true
By a
story.
true story.
Um, and this is a true story, but the things that they put in it are either completely made up based on the story, or they're parts of the story that got just exaggerated to obscene levels.
Well, I think they start some of those scripts and they have the true story laid out, and then they give that to a producer, and he's like, "Yeah, no way, this is boring. You need more action, more suspense, more."
Yeah, it's like, or it's on the thing, like they played a game of hide and seek or whatever, that clap game or whatever it was. Well, okay, how can we turn this small little detail into some humongously scary moment?
Yeah.
And and I get it. That's their job. I mean, uh, I've had many showrunners and people who do cameras and behind the scenes and stuff like that of different shows, or they've been on the shows. And when asked about this sort of thing, like, they all say the same thing: our job is to tell a story. Our job is to entertain. Our job is to do this. And it's never our job is to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. And that's fine. There's nothing I really say about it. That's one of the reasons I don't watch it. I don't watch paranormal television anymore. I can't even remember the last time I watched a paranormal movie, because it just makes me angry to do so, because everything in it is like, nope, that's not right. Although there is one thing, even though it makes me angry, it was still actually pretty good, and it um, kind of goes along with what is coming out uh, currently. And there's a found footage movie uh, called um, it's like 1482 Gacy House, um, something like that. It was his address, 1483, something like that. Uh, I don't think you can find it anywhere. Maybe you'll find it online somewhere. But there's so many things wrong with everything that they did, but they had some really cool like cinematography type thing in it. I would watch that again. Um, but I digress. Anyways, um, Conjuring House. Why don't you, since this is your fault, uh, we're gonna start currently and work our way back. So we're actually gonna start with the parents buying the house and talk about that whole thing, and then we're going to go into the distant past and talk about the legacy of the family that originally built it, and who is, I guess, I don't want to say blamed, but who is accused of being like
Oh yeah.
the villain here in the house.
I kind of have my theory on that too, but when we get there, I'll expand.
Okay.
Um, so I guess 1970 is when They started looking for a house, and they came upon the Arnold Estate, which is the real name for the Conjuring house, if anyone was curious. Um, and she fell in love with it, and they decided to buy it. And I want to say it was they put their entire savings into it, which is why they were stuck there for the time frame that they were stuck there for, because they basically sunk every dime into this house. And in 71 is when they got the keys and basically started the move in. And when they handed the keys over, the the guy, Mr. Kenyon, gave him the keys and told him, "Do your family a favor and keep the lights on at night." And it's like, but in the history that you'll find before this, not a lot was supposed to have occurred before them moving in. Uh, Once they're moving in, it starts subtle, kind of like Poltergeist. The movie starts with just little things moving. One of the things they point out was brooms would disappear from one spot and be in another spot for no reason. Nobody moved them. They figured at first the kids were playing with them or moving them or something, and that turned out not to be the case. Uh, they would hear the noises of the house, but Roger said that it was just the house settling and the wind blowing through an older house. And let me see. That's the beginning part of it.
The thing
Cindy.
about just
Oh,
one quick thing. There's a dealing with the brooms. Like not only would they find the brooms moved, but like every once in a while they would hear like rustling in the kitchen, and they would go in like the broom would have been moved, but there's like a new like little pile of dirt that's like swept up.
yeah.
Um, the other thing that I don't know how this could be the case because the house doesn't look that big, but according to this, it's a 14 bedroom home.
Yeah, I think that's because of the barn thing, or that's because of the back part of it. There's a part that it's connected to. You can see in the old picture, you can see it all. The newer picture, I don't know if it shows it as well.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, but I
Plus it
mean,
has plus it has a basement and all that stuff too, which is the basements where like the really, I guess, disturbing things happened.
14-bedroom farmhouse on 200 acres. Yeah, that's and I don't know why. Maybe this is just my own ignorance. I don't know why I never knew that it was in Rhode Island. I always thought that it was like around Philadelphia or something like that. I don't know why I thought that didn't know that it was in Rhode Island, which makes
Well,
more sense why Jason Hawes would want it. Considering
I was gonna
that's where they live.
I was gonna say probably because like I don't know. I've had an interest in it, but I knew a long time ago when the movies came out, I looked into the history of it and I saw that there were some differences to what was being shown and stuff, and figured that probably would not get the chance to go there, or at least not anytime soon. So I didn't really pay attention to where it was, but
Gotcha. So 1936, this house is built by the Arnold family. It then
1736.
17. What did I say? 1936?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, 1736. My apologies. 1736 makes a lot more sense as to why it would have a history to it. But then, obviously, in 1970 or 71 or whatever, the
Yeah,
parents buy.
71.
They're given this warning, or at least suggestion, and um, yeah, and then shit starts to happen.
Yeah, because early 71 is when they start, and Cindy, there's a lot of stuff that seems to focus around Cindy. And she was the one that I guess was starting to hear that there were whispers or chanting that there were 7 dead soldiers in the walls, and it's some sort of rhyme they made out of it, and I'm like, "Okay." Roger was a, I would say, devout skeptic, and he did not want to believe in any of this stuff, and attributed it all to the house settling, wind blowing, uh, air coming through the house, which is why the doors were opening. Uh, Personally experienced that. That's creepy as hell when the door opens by itself, and I can't imagine hearing whispers on top of that, and being that attributed to the wind. Uh,
This
or
this isn't any research. This is just a question that I have to see if you came across it. Did they ever look into the 7 dead soldiers being in the wall? Like, does that have any sort of?
Not that I am aware of. It makes it sound like it was more of like a, I don't know. I don't know that there is a nursery rhyme that has that line in it, but they may sound like it was some sort of like songish rhyme type thing, like London Bridge is falling. I mean, it makes it sound like that when they're talking about it. Like instead of London Bridge is falling down, there are 7 dead soldiers buried in the wall. Like it was part of some sort of rhyme that was uh, not one that I know of.
Who the f would write a nursery rhyme with
Like that.
"there are 7 dead soldiers in the walls"? Like,
Yeah,
that's
no.
crazy business.
Yes. And like I said, Roger said they were hearing things with the wind blowing through, and it was well, he didn't know it at the time, but it would be he was basically attributing it to pareidolia. You're hearing what you want to hear with it, and stop it and ignore it, because that always works.
Of course.
Uh,
If there's anything that a ghost hates the most, and will just, you know, scrub their foot in the dirt and be like, "Oh shucks," it's being ignored.
that's it. Roger says we can't play. We got to go. Uh, Meanwhile, Carolyn is freaking out over this because either she's hearing stuff, which I would assume she probably was, and there's in the first 8 months it does talk about her being spiritually assaulted, and some of the entities trying to harm the children. Now, all of the spirits are not bad, at least from what I've read through, and it talked about there being a kid spirit and stuff like that. So there was a mix of the types of spirits that were there. Uh, One or two seemed to be specifically malevolent. One of them, which they attribute to Bathsheba, was specifically attracted to Roger. Now, I'm kind of curious if it wasn't something darker, and not what they thought it was, because it would make more sense that like a succubus or something like that, for because it would caress him and it would do things in the bed with him and get him alone and caress him, and that was the Carolyn was the focus of the anger against, because it wanted Roger and didn't want her in the picture.
Yeah, but they didn't even get that name until Ed and Lorraine Warren,
Correct.
which we're going to get to here in a second, but we're going to stick with what you said. So Ed and Lorraine Warren said that it was this woman named Bathsheba Sherman. Um, they said that she was a Satanist who had murdered a child and cursed the land before killing herself. Um, the parents, or at least Andrea, thought that the bad, evil, the main malevolent spirit was the spirit of Mrs. Arnold, uh, former homeowner of the house, who had hanged herself in the house. And so, yeah, so we have two different stories now, two different theories. as to who the main protagonist may be. Um, and so, with that said, continue, Mr. Anthony.
Okay, so uh, as he's ignoring it and it's escalating, there was the variety of spirits that would come through. The little boy was called Oliver Richardson. Couldn't really find anything on him, but he was supposed to be a young boy, gentle spirit, and Carolyn called Mrs. Arnold the more aggressive spirit. She talks about physical attacks, being slapped, pushed, uh, invisible needle pokes, and stuff like that. I mean, just yeah, the whole gambit of there. Uh, at one point, uh, there was a phrase that the spirit was threatening with a chant that said they'll drive him out with the fiery broom. I don't know that I would think that it sounds more like the spirit that was whispering the seven dead soldiers rhyme, because it kind of will drive you out with the fiery broom, will drive you mad with death and gloom. Was mistress once afore ye came, and mistress here will be again. Is one of the things that Carolyn heard. So it's kind of like nursery rhymish type stuff, just twisted.
A little bit, a little bit. Okay.
Now, I was going to say you get into 2.5 years later into this stuff, and the constant dealing with that stuff. Cindy decides that she's going to try to reclaim her spot in the house and set her intention and make things right. So she gets a candle and does a seance with one of the older sister's friends and basically tells them, eh, from what I saw that was said during the seance, basically let them go, because she told them that they were free and to leave the house because it was her house. And after that, things go from bad to worse.
Yep.
Uh, After she does that, I think they start seeing apparitions and stuff like that, and there's more backlash uh, as they violent attacks on. I believe Cindy started at that point when she tried to basically expel him out of the house. The one things they don't go into a lot, and I found it in a couple of places, and I looked for to try to see where it was, is that the seance, the friend who brought that over, um, trying to think of where her name is. Uh, the older sister's friend had a spell book that they brought in there, and where they got the white candle idea and how to cleanse the house. And I don't know. I tried to see if there was any listing for the name of the book or whatever they had, but they don't really talk about it. Um, I was kind of curious the wording of that, since what I read didn't really seem like you were getting rid of something. Sound like you were letting them be free. But um, in '73, later after that, the seance incident, Carolyn reaches out to a team of paranormal investigators to visit the house, and uh, one member, while they're in the house setting up and testing stuff, draws a cross in the window pane with dust, and is instantly and violently attacked with a wooden stick that was propping the window open, launched across the room. As they said, if it was like someone threw it at him and basically hit him with it from the other window across the room. So I would say it didn't really like the religious iconography there.
Yep.
Uh, I would assume, because it doesn't really talk a whole lot about the team after that. I would assume at that point they're like, nope, we're out. This shit's real. We're done, because they don't. The team doesn't stick around for any length of time whatsoever. Which, you know, ghost
Yeah.
and bump sounds like that, stuff getting thrown at you is probably another level of involvement they weren't ready for. In '73, I'm not sure what I'm not sure when Amityville or whatever happened, but she somehow got in touch with or found out about the Warrens and reached out to Lorraine to have the Warrens come and conduct an investigation, uh, framing the events for her for them to label Bathsheba Sherman as the one that was attacking Carolyn. Uh, an old hatchet that was found in the house was potentially a weapon for the spirit. Uh, the Warrens' involvement kind of climaxes when they decide when Roger's out to hold a seance in the dead of the night. And during that seance, uh, her mother is, Andrea is watching as her mother seemingly possessed. They said Carolyn's voice dropped to an inhuman growl. She speaks in languages that she's never known. Her body is contorted and twisted into unnatural positions, and the chair she is sitting in levitates before she is violently thrown across the room. Uh, at some
Did you
point,
did you say
go
that
ahead.
Roger was gone for this? Because we were
No, I
researching
was going to
this.
say yeah, he's there because at
He's
some
there
point,
for
I guess when they showed up, he wasn't there, and when they started it, he was there because it says that he witnessed it all,
yeah.
and that's when he. I've read a couple of different things. He kicked the Warrens out, and I want to say that there was a brief altercation with him and Ed in some of the cases that I had heard.
But I
Uh,
mean, most of this is coming from Andrea Perron's own book,
yes,
own writing and witnessing of all of this. Um, one quick note before you continue, and that is, you and I, as soon as we're done with this little section, are going to talk about Ed and Lorraine Warren, and I want to make it clear to everybody out there that uh, I'm gonna speak for you here. So if I'm wrong, be my guest and correct me. But both Anthony and I have great respect for Ed and Lorraine Warren
oh,
and everything that they did for the paranormal community and their cases. With that said, uh, there are certain things. Uh, Dave and I did a show a couple years ago about it. There are some things that don't make sense, and so we're going to talk about that. So just understand that anything that we say about this is not in any sort of way to smear the the life or the career of either Ed or Lorraine Warren. So that's all I got to say. All right,
yeah,
continue.
no, yeah. Have I would love to have met her. Have nothing but respect. Um,
Me too.
I, I think some of the inconsistencies could just be from either resources not being available or just a rushed research of certain things and trying to find answers quickly. But just my thoughts on that.
Yeah. So Ed and Lorraine Warren, they do this seance.
Yes.
Carolyn gets possessed, and
Yes.
shenanigans happen.
Yes.
Roger loses his shit.
Which is
Uh,
to be expected, I
Understandable.
would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a diehard skeptic and you're pretty much only doing this because your wife and children are terrified, and believe me, I have had clients like that where the father was just like, I don't even want them here. There's no reason for them to be here. Blah blah blah. But my wife, my children, they're all terrified. So if you're gonna make this better, make it better. Um, I'm not going to be involved in this whatsoever. I have had clients like that, so I get Roger. Um, but whether he has a physical altercation with Ed or not, he kicks them out for making things immeasurably worse. Is that
Yeah, and
is
I'm
that go
no,
ahead?
that's the gist of it. He basically saw the Warrens as what he thought or what he was able to ignore previously. They just poured gas on and made it 100 times worse, at least in his eyes, right then and there, because of the possession and just what happened to her physically. So yeah, I guess if you didn't know everything that was going on, you could totally get behind that and be like, get out.
Yeah.
Um, I was trying to find the date because I don't see the date when it actually happened, but I know not only did Cindy do the seance, but she also played with your favorite thing, which was the Ouija board, and got caught by Carolyn. And when they were playing with the Ouija board, uh, they heard an ominous roar, and they s- they said it was sounded like a demonic cross between a lion and a wolf, that showed up, that manifested from the shadows. And again, this was the friend of the older sisters that encouraged uh, Cindy to do this. Uh,
Sounds like it sounds like they're not making anything better themselves.
no, they're in. Yeah, I was gonna say after the Warrens did that, they decided that they are. I'm pretty sure that this girl, I think her name was Nancy. I think I saw that.
Everybody at that time had a friend named
Matt
Nancy.
Margie. Her name was Margie.
March.
Encouraged her to do the seance, and then it told her to do the Ouija board. And yeah, I don't know why you would. One made it worse. I don't know why you'd try again, but they did. And then the wolf thing manifested from the shadows. Uh, they 74. There was the entire family was watching a movie, and they said a metallic horn-like blast erupted from the cellar, so loud that the house shook. And then there were screeching tires, and there was an accident outside. And they basically saved three people. One was paralyzed from the accident, but it was an accident that took place right outside their place. Uh, and I don't know why the house would have alerted them to that, but for whatever reason, it did. Uh,
Are you sure the house is alerting them of an accident and not trying to cause it?
yeah, I thought about that after I said that. Yeah, it could have been that. um, for 6 years after they kicked the Warrens out, they basically lived through the same torment of that stuff pretty daily. Uh, they tend to try to ig- ignore it, which I don't see how you could. Uh,
Well, I would think it's kind of just it's like having like an injury, a long lasting injury. Pretty soon you just become numb to the pain. It's just a part of your life at that point in time. Like I would think that brooms moving around or shit being tossed at them or whatever, they'd be like, funny. And then, they go on with their life because it happens so often. You just get numb to
well,
it.
well, like Carolyn, they were saying that she was, I guess, the focus of it, which would lead me to think that and which is why I'm pretty sure Ed and Lorraine thought it was a female that was going after Roger, which makes sense that it wanted her out of the way. But I kind of curious if it wasn't something more, but because they said that she would still get smacked around and stuff like that the whole time. I mean, those
Well, it's
things
one.
didn't really go away.
Well, it's one of the reasons that they thought that it wasn't this Bathsheba. It was. Mrs. Arnold, and that Mrs. Arnold saw Carolyn as a threat to
Keeping
her
Roger.
being, well, not only that, but just, being the lady of the home.
Yeah,
Carolyn
I don't know.
was the person in charge, the woman in charge of the house, and they thought that Mrs. Arnold was taking that as a threat to her power and her place in the house.
Doesn't some of the I mean, have you run into stuff or have you run into cases where it's to that level? Or to me that
No, um,
it seems to
I
rise above the norm.
no, not really. Um, I guess I just haven't gotten the cases that have that much of a diluted uh, type of history to it. Um, I have had cases where it seems like there is a female spirit who has taken a liking to the male in the house.
Yeah.
I
I've
I
heard of
ha- I, ha-
those.
I have had those. I mean, it's not a succubus, it's not a demon or anything. It's just a wayward human spirit who develops a crush on the guy in the house. Um, and so out of jealousy, the female, the girlfriend, the wife, whatever, will get, some brunt of the attacks. Um, but we've pretty much been called in pretty early, so it hasn't gotten to that point. And then it's just, you need to knock that shit off. um, but yeah, so obviously 1980, a couple months before I was born,
Yep.
they finally sold the house and moved to Georgia
Yep.
and lived happily ever after.
At least that's what it says. But yes, the
So,
activity seemed to have stopped altogether and they moved on.
right. So, here's why I give the disclaimer on Ed and Lorraine Warren. So, I mean, it says right here in your research, they didn't save the family like the Conjuring house or like the Conjuring movie would lead us to believe. They were kicked out for making the nightmare even worse.
Yes.
Um, and I made uh, this observation to you before the show, and that is this also seems to follow uh, the same type of situation in the Amityville house, where there seemed to be absolutely nothing going on before this new family buys the house and moved in. Then it's all hell breaks loose. The Warrens come in and I guess you could say do their thing. I mean, uh, and then like the family moves out and everything is fine. And it it seems to me, and this is the 70s. So, I mean, you got to understand there's no paranormal television. Like there's no national news, although I think the Amityville house probably did make national news. Um I don't know if the Conjuring house did or whatnot, but um and as somebody who has researched the Warrens in their cases, it just seems to me like this is another one of those cases that could have been handled so much differently, but like trying to I don't know if they were trying to get press. I don't know if they were trying to get publicity to try and do this stuff, sell books, because I know that Ed's been accused multiple times of doing stuff during investigations and saying stuff to the media and stuff that wasn't true in order to sell books.
Yeah.
Make money. Um, And again, 1970s. And so I keep going back to my original conclusion is that I think that whereas and Lorraine Warren, gifted, intelligent, trying to help, still wanted to at least in some way, I guess, make a profit off of it, not understanding that they were doing any harm. And,
Yeah.
and as I said to you before the show, I don't think they figured that the Amityville horror, which it'll become to know as, would still be talked about 30, 40 years later.
Yeah.
I think they're still making movies, different
Uh,
renditions about the
Probably.
Amityville house. And they're obviously still making movies about the Conjuring house.
Yes.
Um, so I mean, I think this is something they thought was going to be a victimless. I don't even call it crime because it's not a crime, but I mean, like a victimless strategy, which then snowballed them on them after years and years of it constantly coming up. Um,
I
and
definitely think he tried to put some shine on the cases and stuff that they worked on, or at least some of them. But I think there was legitimately something to it, and there was something there. Like I said, I would have loved to have met them. I mean, just because. But I think he was trying to put a bit of showmanship on it to kind of take them to that next level. And with this stuff, you just to me, you can't really do that stuff because it just you're just setting yourself up for people to make those accusations and make those claims and stuff like that. Whereas if you wouldn't have done that, then you could have been simply like I think if they did any research into the area, there could have been some local story or something about her Bathsheba being a witch and all that stuff. Whereas if you dug into the history and did the proper research behind it, you would have found different things out.
and that's where the Arnold history comes into play. So um, we have Lorraine saying this is Bathsheba Sherman. She's a witch. She's a Satan worshiping witch who killed a child and cursed the land before killing herself. There was a woman named Bathsheba Sherman, never lived on the property, never lived in the house, lived nearby,
Nope.
uh, died of a stroke at 70, not in the house. Never. There were reports that a child in her care, what was it, drowned?
I
Uh,
think
did,
so.
did did die in her care, but she was uh, cleared of all wrongdoing. So I
Yes.
mean, if anything, it was an accident. So she did not murder a child. She did not kill herself. She did not uh, curse the land. She was never, at any point in time, ever accused of witchcraft or
Nope.
of being.
She's actually buried in consecrated ground, which back then, if you would have done any of the witchcraft stuff or suicide, you were not allowed to be buried on consecrated ground. You would have been buried outside the cemetery.
Probably in an unmarked grave.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, it's uh, so where did all this come from? I mean, and again, it's 1973. You know, there's no internet, so I mean,
No.
unless you're gonna like literally go to the Hall of Records
I mean,
and
you're
look,
you're talking you're talking when she was around, it was 1812. So I mean, that's old history for them back then. So I remember doing research that way, but I was going to say I can't see pouring through tons of microfiche at the libraries or anything like that to find all this information in the short time that before they showed up to the house to do all that stuff.
yeah. I mean, and it's not like if newspapers came out that they had them on microfilm, you know,
Yeah,
at that point in
only the
time.
big ones.
So I mean, you could do the minimal amount of research to get her name, and you know, and it was like, oh, Bathsheba, sure. Oh, that's a weird name. Sounds foreign. you know, and just make shit up to try and put a face to it.
Yep.
Um,
Here's this word
and
female name and a female, what appears to be a female spirit doing the things that are happening. So kind of gives you a easy explanation to those things.
exactly. Um, and I think it makes their job easier. I mean, if they already know, quote unquote, who's doing it, well, then all they have to do is contact that spirit by using a seance.
Yeah.
Um, so we need to talk about the Arnolds because they built the house 1736. Got that
Yes.
right this time. Uh, Pillars of the community. I think what they say, 9 generations.
Yes. Before it finally got sold outside of the family's hands.
Yeah, lived in the house. Uh, Mrs. Arnold did not hang herself.
Nope.
Uh, so that I don't know. Honestly, it's a question for Andrea Perrin. Like, what made them think that she had hung herself? Like, was that another legend or rumor that somebody told them?
I'm wondering
Uh,
I'm wondering if a lot of the stuff that they got didn't come from the whispers and the stuff they were hearing in the house. But when you're being attacked by it, like, do you really trust what you're hearing and the source? I was going to say, I don't know that I don't know how much digging she was able to do outside of the house to figure out all these things.
yeah. Well, I mean, and that's it because, and I was thinking about this because I'm like, gosh, I'm like, I hope nobody really uh, thinks that I'm trying to call Andrea Perrin a liar because I'm not. Because, but I mean,
No,
if,
no.
if the point of her book that she put out is to just tell her story from her perspective, the way she knew it at the
Yep.
time, then yeah, she didn't do anything different. She didn't do anything wrong. Uh, but obviously, if the point of the story was to be like, I did a lot of research and this is what I came up with, well, then that would make me have to have a different answer. Um,
As
I,
far as I know, she's presenting it as it was experienced by her.
yeah,
Um, so
and that's what, and I believe that as well. Um, just my question to her would be, who told you? How did your family or you find? I can't even say find out, but were told that Mrs. Arnold might be the person. Because I mean, in your research, you did point out like they saw a lady with like her head cocked at a weird angle.
yes, yeah.
Um,
Uh, but I mean, there's also, so like the Arnolds moved out of the house. The last Arnold was in the house. Where is it? Yeah, for over 150 years, the farm and their home, their livelihood, their identity. 1898 was the year the last Arnold died in that house, and basically then it was sold in the 1900s and went out of the Arnold's uh, possessions and got turned over to other families at that particular point in time. Now, could there have been another? Well, no, because I would have showed up. I was going to say I don't think there was another Arnold involved with that. Could there have been someone else that took their life and something like that? I guess possibly. Like I said, I think there was more than I question when they say that there wasn't anything going on before the parents moved there, because who picks up a key from someone and they tell you do your family a favor and keep the lights on? I mean, that's a weird thing for someone to just say out of nowhere.
Maybe the wolves like the dark. I mean, who knows? I mean, you said, do me a favor, keep the lights on. That could be for any reason. I mean, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You're on 200 acres. Are people going to come and rob you if they don't think that you're home? Are animals going to show up? I mean, if he
Oh,
would have, if the warning would have been sleep with the lights on because then the demons are going to get you if you don't, well, then that puts a different light on it. But when you say something that wide open, especially when you're out in the middle of nowhere at this point in time, it could mean anything. Um, but I mean, it kind of what the history I think says is it kind of went from the Arnolds to like this family that the parents bought it from, and that was it.
Yeah.
Like that was the whole
I'm
custody.
I'm
But it actually had
I'm
many
sure there
many
were
families.
yeah. I was gonna say I'm sure there were a lot more involved between those two. That was just the family that had it before the parents got it.
Exactly.
And yeah. And they didn't sell it like, it's there's no I didn't see that it was uber cheap and they decided to move in because of this great deal that we can afford this property for this little bit of money because that's always to me a red flag, at least now. Like,
It
what
is
happened on this
now.
property?
So
um,
go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, I just I don't know. There's a couple of different things that I'm curious. Well, they didn't talk about that. Neither did Andrea. I was like, I'm curious because it seems to, even though it struck out at the kids and Carolyn, Roger, I would assume, had a mostly positive experience with this as opposed to everyone else because it liked him or wanted him. So he experienced. There were stories that it laid with him in bed and stuff like that. So he never got the bad part of that.
Well, here's the thing that I have noticed in re-dramatizations and stories that I've heard over my career and stuff like that is one of the things that malevolent spirits will do is they will play divide and conquer, and especially when it is between like a father and or like father and children or husband and wife, especially the husband and wife, because he gets the positive. So when the children and the wife run up and be like, "Well, we're all being attacked," I'm like, "What are you talking about? There's nothing bad here. I mean, I've had experiences and they've all been positive. You guys just need to settle down." Blah blah. Like it creates that separation between the two.
Yeah,
It, and so I mean, it's almost a strategy to it,
to separate,
and
divide, separate. Yeah,
to divide and conquer. You see it tons of times in shows, especially about the demonic. I'm not saying that this is demonic in any way, shape, or form. All I'm saying is that there's a strategy to this.
yeah,
I mean, usually what they'll do is they'll leave the father alone. Like they won't do a single thing. Like not when he's around, not to him. Because then when people complain to him, he's like, "What are you talking about? I've never experienced anything." Like he's not willing to believe them. He's more willing to pass it off as imagination, uh,
yeah. No, that there
or
were
storytelling.
there were yeah, there were stories that they talked about in some of us that I didn't get every single detail of it, but there were things that would constantly break in the cellar to get Roger to have to go down there to fix them. So it was like they were trying to draw him down there to get him alone to spend time with or whatever. I mean, that's what it sounded like.
And that very well could be. I honestly don't know. I mean, who knows how many experiences he had that he didn't bother to tell anybody.
And I mean, I can only imagine the 70s. Like, I mean, there's still people who don't like talking about stuff that goes on with them, but it's more accepted now. So back then that was like you might as well be saying you saw UFOs because yeah, you're not going to go over really well back then either.
Yeah, I agree. Um, it. I am not saying in any sort of terms that nothing was going on here. That this was all a hoax. Absolutely not.
Oh no.
But I think the history attributed to it has a lot of holes in it, and probably for the most part isn't what is actually going on,
No.
um, or the reason why. Now you have this friend, uh, what's it called, Maggie, Margie, the
Which one?
Cindy's
Oh,
friend,
Margie. Yeah,
Margie.
yeah, the one
So,
that encouraged a lot of that stuff.
well, yeah. So I mean, I'm assuming that she lived there long before the parents moved in. You know, was the family that lived there previously that they parents bought it from, did they have children who were friends with Margie? Did they do seances? Did they bring in a Ouija board? You know, I'm not saying that, that it wasn't even haunted or had activity before the parents move in. I mean, maybe that is what uh, the warning was, but it could have just has just as easily have been their own doing and their own stupidity when dealing with forces that they don't understand, especially this Margie. Uh,
Well,
that
she
has
seems kind
nothing.
of yeah. I
Yeah,
was gonna say she
reckless.
seems kind of reckless, and there's two instances: the Ouija board and the seance thing. What are the odds that there were other things that happened that didn't either weren't noticed or weren't relayed back to even her sisters and stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly. I think that there's a lot there's a lot of answers still out there.
Hmm.
Um, when dealing with the Conjuring house, and will we ever know them? I have no idea. Uh, I just don't think it has as much to do with the land or the previous homeowners as popularly reported. And
No,
no, I don't. And no, I definitely don't think it's a demon that's there. So, is there something? I think so. What I don't know. It could even be more like the Vliska axe murder house, where the house has been investigated and had shit done to it so often that it's now its own poltergeist.
oh,
The
that I can
house,
believe.
the house itself is what's haunting it. Uh, so you get what you bring into it. You
I'm
bring in
curious if,
calm. So go
as I
ahead.
say, I'm curious if it just happened to be the right ingredients. You add the right people to the house, and it causes it. That's the key to unlocks all that stuff. That location, those people, the energy, just everything, just being the right combination.
And there's an argument for that, because that is a theory that there's certain energy that mixes well with what's there, and it has such a much easier time interacting and messing with it. And a new family moves in, all hell breaks loose, they move out, a new family moves in with an all different type of energy, and it's right back to the way it was. Like they're just lying in wait. um Sweet, a dog just barked. I don't know if that's here or you. Anyway, sorry.
I didn't hear it, but
Okay, then it was me. uh must be Luna next door. But anyway, um so yeah, I just bringing it back full circle. I I wanted to go into the hands of Jason Hawes and what he does, because he has proven throughout decades now that he has got a respect for homes, for the paranormal, for spirits, and he's got no patience for recklessness and stupidity. Uh, and I think that even though, like anybody, he will charge for people to continue to go in. But I think instead of jacking it up to $1,500, $5,000 or whatever to come in and do this, it will remain at a good price that people can actually afford.
so you can actually go to the house and experience it if you want to. Yes, I totally agree with that, and I get the charging too, because you also got to think that it's not free to upkeep and to improve and to, yeah, everything that goes along with owning the house that has to be put there also. So no, I totally get charging. I just don't. I just don't go for the eye gouging stuff, which is someone buys the house and then wants to charge 3 times what they were normally charging, which was high to begin with, and then, like, you have to have, like, 20 people show up and everyone kicking in large amounts of money to even be able to get in there for any
Yeah,
length of time.
yeah, and I think that's pretty much why they do it. They're like, well, because I was just having this conversation about Waverly, and Waverly is $1,500, or at least was last time I checked. It was $1,500 for one night. But you know what? You get 10 people. Now all of a sudden we're at $150 a person. Okay, well that's and that's, I think, uh the reasoning behind it. Like, well, all these people can just chip in, but it's still
That's a lot of people
garbage.
to get on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, it's just a lot of people to make sure everyone's going to take it seriously and be on the same page and respect it the same way that you want to go in there and you do it, rather than, like, you could have an idiot go in there and say some stuff and really just kick off your night a bad way.
yeah. Like, I honestly, when I first went to the Leduc Mansion, it was like $125, and you got like as many hours as you wanted, pretty much. I mean, and then all of a sudden they changed that policy, and it was like 250, and you only got 3 hours, and that included setup and takedown. And I honestly, I boycotted it. I didn't go for like 2 years because I was like, I ain't paying that. And now I'm like, whatever. I'll, I'll pay it, and I'll add 2 hours to it. But you know, and that's the way the financial things go. I mean, at the time when they raised it, I didn't have that kind of money, to be able to afford 350.
Toss it out. Yeah.
And now I do, and I'm like, all right, and I do it for my team. It's not just for me. I do it to show my appreciation for my investigators. And honestly, I hope, and I can't imagine he wouldn't, and I hope when Jason gets it, that's exactly what he keeps in mind.
He's he stated that in some of the chats that he's done. So I think he's probably the best person to get it, in my opinion, as well. So I totally hope he succeeds.
Right. And if you listening want to go and if you're doing this right off the bat, but and it's not done before you've heard this, go to Jason Hawes's Facebook page, go find his GoFundMe, and see what you can donate. Be a
Yeah,
part of it.
they're sitting at 109 right now.
109,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs like 1.6, so he's a little
Yeah, it's
far away.
8% of goal.
Yeah. So, but I think I haven't read any like the awards. Like some people will donate just to donate, just to help, but there's a lot of people who won't unless they get like supreme
Close.
rewards. Yeah, supreme rewards, for their money.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know what he's doing, but again, you and I, Anthony, are going to do our part and try to get word out for it, and excuse me, help him any way that we can. Um, so yeah, do you have anything that you would like to add?
No, I'm like I said, I most of the stuff that I really got into the house is, I think, when him and his daughter were there and we're talking about it and stuff like that. Because I think when I initially heard about it, I heard all the bad stuff and assumed that that's how it was. And you dig into it. Well, you go see when they were at the house and you see totally different place, and just well worth saving and keeping it alive if they can.
I meant just in general, like about the history of
Uh,
the thing. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the Arnold family. Do we miss anything that you think is important?
I don't think so. I mean, the Arnold family was there. They built it in 1736. Basically, they kept it till 1898. That was the last Arnold that was in the house. It was the one family that owned it for over 150 years, and it, I mean, if it was haunted, they obviously wouldn't have stayed in it. That it was they stayed in it out of love. I mean, they built the house because they wanted it to succeed and be a happy, prosperous place. And unless there's some mystery event that happened between then and the parents moving in, yeah, I don't see the causes for those things. And if you I almost want to well, I know that Ed and Lorraine said it was Bathsheba, but I was gonna say it doesn't help when Hollywood adds all the extra stuff to it. Of course, you know, then in one of those movies they have the nun show up too, so
Maybe, y- y- I think we have truth, then we have uh, publicity, and then we have entertainment. And
yes.
each one adds a little bit more and a little bit more. And then we have what pretty much what we talked about today. We have a bunch of legends and stories and misinformation out there because nobody knows what the truth is anymore. And uh, I love going to historical locations. I would go to the Farrar Schoolhouse, but obviously that was bought out and then jacked up. I can't wait to go back to Edinburgh Manor. Um, I think that's still just the way it was. So I mean, I got nothing against these historical and haunted locations. I just would like the proper history and the truth of what is going on.
Yeah, I just
That
don't
that,
think
that
I don't think you'll get that from at least the movies and stuff like that. You could, I guess, at some point in time, but I was like, I don't know how you take the true events of what happened and turn it into horror movies, I think is what they're up to now or something.
I don't know, because now it's like the Conjuring universe or whatever it
Well,
is,
yeah.
or like if it involves Ed and Lorraine Warren, well then it's just all part of the same universe now. Like all the Annabelles that they've just made, like those are all part of the Conjuring universe. Uh,
Yeah, it's funny to see the replica dolls from the movies, and people think that's what Annabelle really looks like, and I'm like, no, it's really a Raggedy Ann.
yeah, she ain't plastic. Like she's,
Yeah,
they have that, and they have all like scratched up, and yeah, I've seen it, and it's literally just a Raggedy Ann doll,
yeah.
uh,
It's
with
like,
cloth and stuffing and stuff like that. So
oh, I want to say my sisters had something like that growing up. So yeah, it's funny.
I want to say my sister did too. Maybe not that big. Like I think hers was one of the like foot
Smaller
foot
ones.
and a half. Yeah, smaller ones. Um, but Raggedy Ann and Andy, I definitely had
Yep.
an appearance in my childhood home at some point in life. I can't remember that far back, but anyways. So yeah, uh, there you have it, everybody. Um, what I suggest is if you are going to any like haunted attraction, whether it's local, whether you're crossing state lines, whatever. If you care about the history, do your research. If all you care about is the thrill, don't worry about it because the history means nothing to you. As long as you get shoved down the stairs, you don't care who's doing it or why. Um, and there are people out there that's exactly what they want. So all the more power to you. Uh, There's nothing I can say about that because I'm not the one in charge of the location or whatever event they may or may not be going to. All I can do is control what myself and my team do, and that's good enough for me. So yeah, I got nothing else.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good. Alrighty. Well, that does it for us here this week. Anthony and I will be back next week with another brand new episode. And maybe, just maybe, if I can get off my ass and actually contact people, might have a guest one of these times. Just know that is completely my fault. That I just have not done what I need to do. And my apologies to everybody out there for that. But we'll be back next week with either a topic or a guest. And yeah, we'll see you then. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe. We want to see you back here. Everyone, have a good rest of your weekend.